Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today I want to talk about stereotypes of preppers. And yeah, this is because there is a difference between what perception people have about preppers and what they see in the media, in contrary to what's in reality. But before we do that, if you're interested in detective stories, this is the first part of an 11-part series that I wrote called Bloody Crosses. It's in Dutch, and it will be, if you're interested, it will be down in the description. So, stereotypes of preppers. We all know the typical stereotypes in the media and in movies and such. But I want to go on to a list of things that I found on let's say the first searching terms about preppers that I found, and give a little bit comments about it. Um, the reason why I do this on the computer like this and not edit it in is one, I'm a lazy bastard. It will second take too much time, and three, uh, the algorithm of YouTube is very particularly about rights, copyrights and such. So the moment I would put these pictures into an edit, they will probably cancel or delete or make a claim or something, and I cannot show this video. I have got in trouble again for this for several times, so I'm gonna do it like this. So don't blame me, blame YouTube for forcing me to do it in this kind of format. So yeah, one of the first things that you think about preppers and survivalists is, of course, Bear Grylls. Yeah, Bear Grylls. All right, the guy was in the army. Yes, he is. He probably knows what he's doing. But I'm conflicted with Bear Grylls to be what he is right now into the perception of the public. First of all, like I said, the guy will certainly know what he's doing, but the second thing is he's on television, and on television is everything is sanitized. You have to take in account that first of all, uh, yeah, this guy is working for a television broadcast, and they will not take any chances with insurance and other dangerous hazards. So yeah, there is a thing that Bear Grylls is always being helped during his filming, and that's actually obvious because yeah, there is always a cameraman filming everything he's doing. There is probably always a medical team in aside, close by, and it's not because he can survive in those things that the cameraman and the other assistants of the producers are also able to do that. So they will be flown in or have a camp nearby, and yeah, that's it's all a little bit set up, but that's a little bit of the drama of the television. He probably knows what he's doing, but what I'm bothered by is that people think, oh, he's really doing this and this, everything I see, and no, it's all a little bit faked and dramatized for television, and yeah, that's something that you need to take in account if you watch these kind of documentaries. Uh, when you watch these, and there is also the aspect of selling merchandise and survival gear that is also a play into this. So I would say everything you see on television, take it with a grain of salt, or look it up with other sources uh, to check if it's standing up. So yeah, Bear Grylls probably a good survivalist, but the things that you see in television is a little bit over dramatized in my opinion. Next one, Bert Gummer, the the original Pepper. I know it is just a character from television, from how is that movie called, with those Tremors? Yeah, the movie Tremors, the series, and I always laughed this guy. This is one of the first things as a child I got into. The thing that I saw as a prepper. So yeah, as a child I saw Bert. I grew a little bit up with Bert Grummer as the original prepper. So that was a little seed that was planted inside of me. But yeah, the Bert, he probably knows what he's doing. He has the good mentality in the series. He's got the guns, of course. It's all show dramatic Hollywood. But there is always one thing that bothered me after I watched it as a grown up, and that is he's got the bunker, he's got the MREs, he's got all the guns you can imagine, but he does not have a water bottle with all the gear that is has on his side. I never saw him with a water bottle, and that's one of the first things that you will need if you're going to be a badass prepper like him. So yeah, that's just a little nitpicking of me, but yeah, this is just over dramatizing. But it could, like I said, as a child, this was the seed that planted a little bit of prepper and survivalism inside of me without even me knowing it. Next thing, these two guys. Uh, I know the one on the right is named Cody, and the other one I don't know the name anymore. But this is dual survival, if I'm not mistaken. He's a military guy, and he's some sort of hippie guy. And yeah, I saw a few things of this dual survival series, but to be honest, it's the same problem with Bear Grylls. There is probably always a crew with medical help, a crew with film producers, a director, together with them to film the whole thing. So it's not real as you would see it on television. They probably know what they're doing, but sometimes I was a little bit annoyed uh, by Cody, or this guy. He was always keen on walking in only socks or bare feet, and that's what I found a little bit annoying. All right, he's pushing his limits, but it's giving a bad signal to other people who think, oh, if he can do it, I can do it without my shoes. But shoes are very important in any survival situation. So yeah, that's a little bit of a bad message in my way. But yeah, it's a good way to learn small things. And yeah, like I said, take it with a grain of salt and do some some other information about everything that happens here, and take in account that it's a little bit dramatized. So yeah, these are typical television survivalists in my opinion. They probably know what they're doing, like I said with Bear Grylls, but yeah, it's television. It's always sanitized. Doomsday Preppers. Well, this you will probably not see it because I could not find the bigger format, but this is the typical. If people think about preppers, this is probably the thing that we will see. Husband and wife in gas masks, and have a bunker beneath their house or something. And I'm always annoyed by this kind of portrayal of preppers because, yeah, this like I said before, it's dramatized, but this is dramatized even further. Further, they're always looking for the most extreme examples that they can find, and everybody will think, oh, if I become a prepper, I need a bunker. I need 2,000 pounds of beans, and I need all that gear that they have. But that's sending a wrong message, in my opinion. Survivalism is about the having skills and having the right mentality, but this is more about people who are first of all too extreme in their thinking, because usually these are people that think the world is going to end within so many years or something. And yeah, these are, like I said, the extreme examples, and it's mostly focused on the gear and not on really the skills, because skills are boring for television for some reason. And that's a little bit annoying me, because when I was interviewed by a journalist, he was expecting something like these guys when they started to interview me. So that's a little bit grained into the perception of the public. Next thing, Stalker. This is a video game, and as you can see, he's got old Soviet NBC materials, the rifles to go into the nuclear zone around Chernobyl in the game. And actually, this is the game that started to get me prepping. So on the other, this in video games, you will usually see preppers being portrayed as, or survivalists as, the crazy diehards, hardcore people. But here in Stalker, you learn um, about the small things about surviving, about bartering, finding items, repairing, maintenance, the dangers of radioactivity, and the different levels of NBC suits, and thousand and one other dangers that you can have, like bleeding out, first aid in different kind of ways. So yeah, that is the game that started to get me prepping for real, because when I was a kid, I used to actually a teenager, and I looked at played this game a lot, and I got to think, what if there was a nuclear accident at one of the power plants nearby my home, and I started to look into it, and I discovered that it would be a little bit too, yeah, that it's more complex than I thought. And I started prepping small with the bug out bag, and then I started to grow because till the man I am today. So yeah, Stalker is the thing that started to get me prepping, and that's very good if it's portrayed good into video games, because there are video games where it's just collect meat, collect meat, shoot, but never but not a lot about filtering water. There are exceptions like the darkest no what the long dark. That's one of the best survival games. If I played that if I played that as a teenager, I would have been more into skills from the get go. But yeah, this is the game that it started with me. So yeah, if it's portrayed good in video games, it can plant good seeds into the basic skills and knowledge for children and young adults. So yeah, but I do not like the games where it just the crazy prepper is only shooting things to marauder and to scavenge. So yeah, that's something that I have to say about preppers and survivalists in video games. Yeah, this is Joe Alton. This is the guy that does all the medical stuff for preppers. Yeah, I would advise looking up Joe Alton, aka Dr. Bones, and yeah, that guy is an expert on survival medicine, and it is not survival like the following a first aid course or following a real medical degree in up university. This is the guy that learns in his books on how to survive with the means that you got and what you can find in nature, or what you can find a replacement for in times where things are bad. It's not like situations where there is a standard protocol. Everything is is too professional. This is for the regular people to understand how they can survive medically in the prepper thing, survival situations. And there is also the Canadian prepper. I don't know why, but for some reason the Canadian prepper pictures will not show up onto my laptop. I'm a little bit of a small brain on electronics, so I don't know why. But the next picture would be Canadian prepper, and Canadian prepper is one of the guys that I followed when I started into prepping, to get information, to learn skills, and to learn the steps about the steps and the small aspects about prepping, and to keep growing, and also for motivation. So Canadian prepper is a sort of a person I will look up to and learned a lot from, and made the man that I am today. So yeah, that's normally the person that would be next. This is a movie, and it's called The Road. And yeah, there are a lot of preppers in movies, and in movies they are usually portrayed like the crazy prepper with beans and guns, just like like a bird gummer actually. But this is a portrayal of a survivalist in movies, and that is The Road. And yeah, like you can see, this is not a guy who was prepared. This is a guy who learned to survive. And yeah, I would advise read a book. You will learn small things about survival, and it's all about following this guy, and he's protecting his child in a ruthless world where everybody tries to survive. And yeah, I would advise look up this movie. And this is also a good portrayal of a survivalist in movies. It is not the guy who was prepared, or it is not the guy who did just a training montage while he was learning. You see him failing, you see him succeed in certain things, and that is realistic, because in real survival situations you don't know what will happen. And if you have to learn new skills, or to learn new knowledge, you will do it with ups and downs. You will succeed, you will fail, and that's realistic. So yeah, I would advise to search up this movie, but be careful with what you see in movies about survival. Take it with a grain of salt, and look up everything after it, because sometimes there are things that you would think, why the hell would you do that? This is just an example of. I found this funny because I was trying to when I was looking about survivalists in the world, because from now on I will show you real preppers and survivalists. But first I want to show you what is the common portrayal of the modern people. So I typed in modern woman, and that is what you see. If you can see it, the high heels, short jeans, a blouse that is too tight and too thin, sunglasses to look how do you say this, to look more modern or classy or fancy, or what is the word, and long hair that gets into the way, and a handbag that you held on. And normal people would see, oh, that's fashion, that's a classy lady. But when I look at it, my prepper brain is actually melting a little bit, because I see things that are everything opposite of survival. That is not functional. So let's go from down to up. Yet again, high heels. You cannot run away from danger with high heels, and it's hard to walk. And yeah, it will hurt you back if you do it too long, and it's not comfortable. Second, the jeans. These are jeans that are way too high up. So yeah, you have lose much body heat below it, and yeah, it's too tight. So if you want to run away, kick, or self defense, or if you do any task, it can rip or tear easily, or get or is not protecting against weather elements. Next thing is the blouse. This is a very colorful blouse. It's not camouflage if you have to run away from somebody, or if you have to hide, or if you have to keep a low profile. You will be seen in this white blouse very easily, and it's very thin, just cotton, I guess, and that's also not good against weather circumstances. If it starts to rain, if there's a light wind, you will get cold very easily. It seems like it can tear easily. The long hair that gets in the vision of the eye, as you can see, yeah, that's not really good if you want to have a clear vision onto your attacker, or if you want to observe something, or if you want to run away from somebody, somebody can grab it very easily. So yeah, and also the handbag. The handbag is loose. You just hold it on. So that's also a bad thing, because you have not both hands free for doing anything. It's an easy target for thieves or robbers, or somebody can just snatch it from out of your hands. That's a little bit more difficult if you have a string attached to it, or around a shoulder strap or something. So yeah, if I see this, the modern woman is not fit to survive in this picture. So yeah, that's something that my prepper brain is triggered by if I see this. The same thing for man. So the same thing goes for the man here. This is he's wearing a costume that is not really suited for protection against weather like rain or cold. Yet again, open, colorful, not good. Not good for protection. The shoes, they do not look like running shoes. He's got high pants for some reason. I don't know why. And yeah, stylish hair that, yeah, that when if you can see, it's very long, but it's plowed in a certain way. So if it gets wet, sweaty, or does not contain some of gel or products, it will fall down and it will get into his eyes. So yeah, that's also something that is not good if you want to look at short or long-term survival. And yeah, it is something that it is this picture that I got shown by if I typed in modern man. So it is what modern society sees as desirable for some reason, and yeah, that is not what I see when I look at it. So that's a difference between uh, people who are entrenched into the system against people who have a more survival mentality. Yeah, survival mentality will not have the best fashion, I will admit, but yeah, that is my personal opinion about this. All right. From now on, we will show you survivalists and preppers from around the world. So yeah, this is a picture from LA. As you can see, this is a homeless woman with all the gears, everything that they own with them, and they have a shopping cart to get their stuff around, because they know they will get scared away by local authorities or people that are living in the area, and so they are a little bit nomadic. You can see, but you can look at it and you will see. But what does this have to do with survivalists and preppers? These are homeless people, yes, but homeless people, they have another way of living, and it's also a sort of survival mentality that they have. Like you can see, they have a cart with all their stuff. and they go around, they'll probably stay in the local area because they they will know the places where they can go, like homeless shelters. Certain people will give them food. Perhaps they can get some help from other people that they will know, and so they will have to stay in a certain area in the city to survive in a certain way. And that's I don't know. I do not say that it's ideal. I just say it's another way of living to cope with the situation they are in right now. So yeah, some people will say, "Oh, these are just lazy bums," but I see people who try to make the best out of their shitty situation. And yeah, I don't know what I would do if I was there. If I was personally in this kind of situation, I would not stay in the situation because it will not get better for me. So I will try. I will try to get to other places a little bit nomadic. But yeah, these are people who have been part of the city one time, and they are now because it's their home. It's their hometown. It's their place that they always lived and known, and they're probably their ancestors too, and they will want to stay there, and that's why they live like this, perhaps. So yeah, it's a difficult situation, but you can look at it another way and see these are actually people who can survive in even the shittiest situations. So yeah, we can learn some one or two things about this kind of people who are into this kind of situation. The Amish people. The Amish people, if everybody knows, these are a religious sort of people, and they try to live without technology. So in a way, they are homestead preppers. Actually, they make their own food, they build their own things, sheds, clothing. They try to make everything without modern technology out of choice. These are not people who are forced into this situation. They are willingly uh, getting into this. And yeah, you can say whatever you want about them, but I admire people who try to live like this. The only thing I don't like is the religious aspect of it. But religion, if you look at it from a survival and purpose standpoint, religion is perhaps a social binding into this sort of communities. So yeah, perhaps that's a big part onto the on to be the people that they are. But these people are making everything, try to make everything themselves without the use of modern things from other places around the world. So they cannot get they do not use electricity, they do not need materials imported from the other side of the world. So yeah, that's something that a true prepper looks like actually. We also the preppers in the media before, but this is what actually a prepper looks like. Just a simple man who can make his own food or things, and that's how he lives. Yeah. Yes, this is another example of a homeless person, and as you can see, they got tents here. So yeah, that's another way of surviving in in big city in this kind of poverty. And yeah, yet again, I don't know why I have a second picture of this. It's got between these, but the same thing that I said before about it's another way of surviving in another environment because the they use the things that are just like a woodsman uses the woods. These homeless people are using their surroundings to survive. So yeah, it's a sort of adaptation to their situation. um I don't know if you can see this, but it is prepper militia. That is something that I learned about while watching on the internet, and there are certain groups in America that form local militias, and what they do is they train together for protecting their local areas. They train in survivalism. They take even their dogs, their wives, their children with them to learn these kind of things. And the many people will say, but those are all right wing groups, blah blah blah. But even whatever political affiliations they have, this is a good example of a survival group. How do we say this? Um, there is a certain proper name for it. I've forgotten about it. But this is a assistance group for preppers that they are socially binding. They are learning to get their skills, and they are aimed into only to get on. They are aimed together to survive whenever there is a problem, and that's a good thing because these kind of preppers, they have a sort of community. They will share everything. They will share the knowledge. They will share their skills, and they will share their lives if it can protect each other's families. So yeah, this is also a good um, how do you say this, mutual assured assistance group is the name, I guess. So yeah, this is some also a good example of a prepper survival group. Next thing is an Alaskan bush person. These are people who go into the frontiers of Alaska or other places that is very cold, and they make their own huts, cabins, and they do everything with their own materials according to the seasons and to the surroundings and to the whatever they can find. They can hunt or gather from their local areas. So you can this is just all portrayed out, but here you can see everything they need. You see a pan, you see pans, you see everything to make wood for the cabin. You see ice skates, shovels, hammers, axes to hunt. These are all things that they need to be a homestead prepper, actually, in a wilder, in the difficult terrain, seasoning, and surroundings. So yeah, this is also what a prepper looks like. Is These are people that are usually living in isolated places. So community is something over a long distance, actually. So yeah, you can. These are places that you cannot live with 200 people in one place, which is very difficult. So there is perhaps one family with in certain areas, but they are connected to help each other when when they are sick or they need something or they have big problems. So yeah, these are more smaller survival groups, perhaps, but yeah, this is what another good example of a proper survivalist. Uh, I don't know if you can see it well, but this is Inuit. This is, or like some people will know them like Eskimos, and these are true survivors. These are the true preppers. These are the people who live in the most barren places in the world, and they can still survive. And yeah, I would certainly I always look up on how they do things, how people who live in the most barren areas, what things, what I like to learn how they do things, the small aspects of their survival or tricks that they do. So yeah, this is a very good example of a survivalist, and we can learn a lot of these because these people are not dependent on anything from outside the world. Perhaps not the modern Inuit that are perhaps how do you say this, working together with people who do research or do anything other in the areas that they need to work together because yeah, of perhaps they do oil drilling, they need hides or something else. That is just cohesion of two different cultures that come together, but try to learn about the old ways of the Inuit, I would say. All right. Next thing is these are, if you perhaps can see, I know it's very small, but these are the Aboriginals, the original inhabitants of Australia, and they live in also very barren climates where water is very scarce, and they need to forage and hunt. And as you can see, it is always something that I admired, and that is they do not almost have nothing. If you would see a modern hunter prepper survivalist, they have a bag full of gear and all this clothing, but these they have only a few clothing pieces, a spear, a boomerang, and perhaps some arrows. And for the rest, they depend on their knowledge on the area, on the knowledge to find water, their knowledge to find forage food, and that's how they do it. The knowledge to not get wounded or killed or medicine from out of nature. These are very skilled and knowledge based people actually. So yeah, that's something that I always admired about Aboriginals in Australia. This is an example. If you if you can probably can see, this is an example of an homestead prepper. This is a person who grows their own food in their in their backyard, and they start to how do you say, to can it, dry their food. As you can see, they have filter systems behind it. So these are modern people who try to be fully or semi independently from the grid and system, and that is something that this is a kind of prepper that I'm trying to be most like in my area. So yeah, that is probably the most thing that I will achieve in from all the preppers that I will show now. So yeah, next thing, these are nomads from Mongolia, and these are nomads that will usually herd cattle, and they live in yurts, which are a sort of big tents they can build it up and take down in just an hour, and they put on their horses or camels, and they just go to the next area to let their cattle graze. And from their cattle they get their food, they get their hides, and they get some money, perhaps some money, and that's the way they live. So that is also other cultural preppers and survivalists in my way that we can learn a lot of, and they are also good navigators. So that's sort of things that are the things that we can learn about it. Um Next thing, these are bushmen from Africa, and as you can see, these are people that will hunt very far away with almost nothing. The only thing they have are a few clothing pieces, a spear, and a bow, with only a few arrows. So these are just like the Aboriginals. They're mostly run on their knowledge and their skills. So yeah, we can learn a lot of it. That we do not need a whole backpack of fancy gear to help us survive. If you know your area, if you know where you can where you can forage, where you can hunt, where you can find water, where you can find medicinal plants, you will be able to save so much gear and money and space in your backpack that you can use for other stuff perhaps. So yeah, these are the people that I showed in the last videos, in the last pictures here. These are the true survivors, these are the true preppers. uh, these are the people that would survive in the most dire of situations. And yeah, these probably the last one, yep, these were all things that I think about when I think about preppers. The first half of the video was most about most people what most modern people in the Western civilization would think about when they see preppers, and the second half was about what I think about who are the real survivors and preppers. So yeah, these are two different worlds, but we can learn from both things. So knowledge is power, and yeah, I know this was about stereotypes about preppers, but yeah, the the stereotypes are the things that you need to avoid. Actually, the stereotypes do have a grain of truth in them, but the we can learn even from bad examples. So the thing that I like to do is like in the first half of the pictures about the things that were absurd, and you can recognize a prepper about it. If a prepper looks at like someone like Bert, the Bert Gummer, he will laugh. He will laugh his ass off. But he can learn about the bad examples, what not to do, or what they are lacking. It's a sort of reflection and analyzing. So yeah, we can learn even from stereotypes, even though they are bad examples. So yeah, I ranted long enough. So this was just my rant about stereotypes of preppers and what, in my opinions, are real preppers, the real and the best preppers, in contrary to what most people think about preppers when they think about it. So I will go away now. So thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and see you in the next video. Cheers.